Sanji and Judge debuted on OPTC Global on the 27th of July 2019. This batch released to celebrate the French anniversary of the game and launched with a 2x chance of SugoFest exclusives, which was quite rare earlier in the game's life cycle. This batch brought along new renditions of the Germa 66 characters such as Germa 66 Peach Poisonous Fang Vinsmoke Reiju, Germa 66 Jade Arm Vinsmoke Yonji, Germa 66 Azure Spark Vinsmoke Niji, and Germa 66 Crimson Flash Vinsmoke Ichiji. And the SugoFest exclusive character of the batch tied up the loose ends of this release with a captain ability that aimed for the crew to have one of each type while maintaining the powerhouse class, along with a special that granted a solid attack and slot boosting effect, along with some useful utility. Introducing Sanji and Judge, parting of father and son. In this series, we'll be traveling back in time to experience some of the older SugoFest exclusive characters in their prime, aiming to show just what it was like to use these characters on their debut. I hope you enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's enter the Legends of OPTC. Thank you very much for checking out yet another episode of the Legends of OPTC, and today we're checking out one of my favorite SugoFest exclusive characters to come out, which is Sanji and Judge. Now, for those of you who have been around the channel for a while, you guys would know I'm not actually a really big fan of dual units, but something about this unit, I really like this unit's design. They're a really strong unit when they came out, and this was kind of like a little bit of a renaissance for the powerhouse classes. You know, we had a lot of really strong units come out recently, and powerhouse, they were kind of just trickling along, but with this release and then the next legend release straight after it, they give powerhouse a really good buff. So we're going to be talking about the Sanji and Judge batch today, and this is cool because this was the introduction of the second batch of Germa units, which is interesting because they all debuted as 5-star characters. However, they actually received a super evolution island so that you could get them to 5-star plus. It was like a really weird like content release, and it was kind of annoying at the time because these units were only pullable as 5-star units. Previous to this, pretty much most batches released these rare recruits as 4 and 5-star versions, so you could actually, you know, pull the 4-star version, which had a much higher chance to be pulled. But of course, as we know, in today's day and age, pulling rare recruits is actually really hard to do still, as they only come in their 5-star form. So well, let's actually just start talking about each of these units. We're not really going to be talking about the regular 5-star versions. We'll only really talk about the 5-star plus versions of these rare recruits. So next we have Reiju. So she is a powerhouse shooter int character, 5-star plus of course. And then her captain ability, I mean, most of the characters have very, very similar captain abilities, boosting powerhouse and then boost int as well. And then, you know, all of them have really good crewmate abilities. So for Reiju herself, she resists 3 turns of special bind. And then she says that if you have a strength dex quick sign int character in your crew, then int slots will be beneficial to powerhouse. So that crewmate ability will be very, very powerful when you think about all of the rare recruits having a very similar effect such as that. But as for what she does as a crewmate, she says that if you have 6 powerhouse characters in your crew when you launch the special, she poisons all enemies and then reduces damage received by 70% for 2 turns. But then if your captain's orb or your friend captain's orb is a tandem, then reduces enemies threshold and rainbow shield and increased defense all by 5 turns. So that effect, as we know, is a very powerful mechanic, but it is still centered around the fact that you need to have a tandem slot on one of your 2 captains. Generically speaking, it's actually not the easiest thing to do, but of course with this batch makes a lot of sense. So this is a common theme with this batch, where they are so hyper focused around being together. It means that if you do use them together, they work exceptionally, but sometimes it's very hard actually to get these characters to work outside of their own team. Next character on the list is Yonji, again, powerhouse striker dex character, 5-star plus. Captain ability, as we kind of stated before, relatively similar. And then crewmate ability, resists special bind by 3 turns. If you have one of every color, dex slots are beneficial to powerhouse. And then if you have 6 powerhouse characters when you launch the special, reduce attack, down, bind, and despair all by 5 turns. And then if one of your captain slots have a tandem, then boost the color affinity of all characters by 2 times. So this character actually is probably one of the better ones, probably is the best rare recruit out of all of them, because this effect of utility, removing attack down, bind, and despair by 5. That's very easy to achieve. You just need 6 powerhouse characters in the crew, so if you're running a powerhouse team, very good unit to use. But then having the tandem slot to get the color affinity, not the easiest thing to do in the world, but you know, there are obviously ways that you could abuse that. Overall, still a pretty good unit that actually saw a lot of play in random teams. So the last 2 rare recruits being Niji and Ichiji, these 2 units work really, really well together. So for Niji, he is a powerhouse slasher, quick, 5-star plus. Crewmate ability, once again, resisting special bind by 3. If you have one of every color, quick slots are beneficial to powerhouse. If you have a full team of powerhouse characters, you get a 2x conditional boost against enemies with reduced defense. Unfortunately, Niji doesn't apply that himself, but he says that if you have a tandem slot on your captains, he changes all slots including block into tandem and make them beneficial for 1 turn. Unfortunately, Niji does seem to be probably the weakest of the rare recruits here because he doesn't apply the condition himself. If he applied it, it would have been ridiculously good. I think if this was a character that released in today's day and age, he would have probably applied the debuff himself. And then this effect to just get a full board of slots if you have a tandem slot on one of your captains, it's okay, not always super useful, but the fact that, you know, you can just use Sanji Judge effect to get a tandem slot, then get a full board of slots. So if you do have a full board of block slots, you can manipulate them around to get the tandem slots, which obviously would be really, really nice to abuse with this team. Final rare recruit obviously being Ichiji, and he is a powerhouse shooter strength unit with 40 cost, 5-star plus, as we know. Once again, resist special bind. If you have one of every color, strength slots are beneficial for powerhouse. If you have a full team of powerhouse, then he does 120 times his attack and typeless damage to all enemies at the end of the turn for 3 turns. So he allows you to get around resilience pretty much, or if you have to wave clear mobs, he's actually pretty good at doing that too. Ichiji further says that if one of your captain slots are tandem, then he removes defense reduction debuff protection completely, which is, you know, immune to status effects or immune to defense reduction. He removes that from the enemy, delays them by 2 turns, and then reduces defense by 100% for 1 turn. Very, very odd type of special, you know, end of turn damage, removing their defense down immunity, delaying them, and then reducing their defense. Very, very odd built specials. And honestly, it has been a really long time since we've had a new Germa batch. I feel like we are due for a new Germa batch, and I would love to see what they would do with a modern version of this, because, you know, these units are definitely more old now. They need a little bit of a touch-up, a little bit of modernization. But let's talk about Sanji Judge, because this unit still needs a super evolution as well, which could be very, very good. So, we start off as Sanji, who is a powerhouse fighter, and then Judge is powerhouse driven, and then in their dual unit, they are powerhouse and fighter. Both versions are Sai, and you've got their captain ability, where you have Sanji says that if you have 6 powerhouse characters, you boost their attack by 3.5 with a 1.25 health boost. Recovery and tandem are beneficial for powerhouse. But then when you switch over to Judge, he's a little bit different. You need one of every color in your crew in order to get the most out of it, getting the attack boost and the health boost, but he makes size slots beneficial to all characters. But then of course, if you have the dual form, if you have 6 powerhouse characters, you get the big boost, and if you have one of every color, you get the HP boost, and then makes Psi recovery tandem beneficial to all characters. The captain ability is still a little strange because you have 2 different conditions with both captains, so obviously with the super evolution, this would get a little bit of a change. As a crewmate though, making both tandem and recovery beneficial for himself is cool, but then Psi tandem and recovery beneficial for all powerhouse characters is really strong. That's a very, very nice effect to have. You've got their switch ability, which works perfectly with their special, removing special bind on themselves completely, and then changes their own orb through block into tandem, which of course if you use them as a captain, getting the tandem slot with their switch effect, allowing you to use the rest of the specials of the crewmates, and then giving you a 1.25 chain multiplicative buff for 1 turn, so that's nice too. And then the special boosting the attack of Powerhouse by 2 times, boosting the orbs of Powerhouse by 2 times, and then reducing paralysis by 5 turns, and they combine for 3 turns. So yeah, like, it's not a lot going on here, but this batch is so well built to take on a lot of content. It does deal with a lot of really cool things. It's a really nice batch, of course, but it's just unfortunate. Some of the rare recruits are so clunky, and especially outside of this batch, they're very hard to use in other teams. But when you use them together, they are pretty strong, well-built teams. So really excited to jump into some content using this guy as captain today. All right, so we've got 3 different pieces of content here that we could potentially land on today. We have Colosseum Pika, Colosseum Jinbei, as well as Clash versus Garp and Sengoku. I would love to take on probably one of the Colosseums. I think that would be a little bit more fun to take on. So let's go ahead and spin that wheel and let's see what we land on today. As I said, I'm really hoping for one of the Colosseums. That would be best case scenario. And we are going to get Colosseum Jinbei. All right, so let's go ahead and try and build a team to take on Colosseum Jinbei, which if I remember correctly was a little bit of an annoying Colosseum. So let's see what we can get cooking. Alright, so now we are here with the final round versus Jinbei, and this is the team that we have built. Now, you do see that we are running the Germa squad, but we do have a slight change, and we took out Reiju because we actually needed to have something in our crew that gave us a chain lock. On the final stage, Jinbei can actually do a couple of different things, and honestly, if we land on one of those 4 different variations on the final stage, I actually don't think this team can actually beat it. But as long as it doesn't land on, you know, one of those 4 variations, so we're literally got like a 25% chance, I think this should be okay. If we do end up landing on it, we'll try it. We'll see if we can win. But everything up until that point, this is not going to be a problem, I don't think. So we are also using the Germa ship, which is also something that debuted alongside the Sanji Judge badge, as it allows you to get lots of cooldown, and it also gives you additional attack boosts if you have a recovery or a tandem slot. But the only real issue with this is that you do need to have one of every character on the crew, so that's the only real downside. But of course, with this batch and the way that it's built, having one of every color on the crew is the whole point. So it's a really good ship if you can abuse it, because it gives you -2 cooldown, really good attack power, just a solid ship. So let's go ahead and run it. Hopefully we can get that dub. So of course, first thing is first, we need to get our cooldowns ready to go, and we actually need a lot of special charge time, to be honest. So we can, you know, obviously use our switches and stuff, but we don't really need to do that. So we're just going to go ahead and kill the characters that have the low cooldowns, and that's pretty much going to be it. We do have a few recovery slots, which we can definitely abuse here, which will be good. We are going to take quite a bit of damage here. The only thing is that we do have to do a little bit of stall on stage 3. We don't really have a really good way to get around the opposing enemy's defense increasing effects, unfortunately. So we are going to have to just tank that. But that's how teams used to run back in the day. You know, sometimes you had to take a few turns to kill a stage, unlike these days where if you don't kill something in one turn, you get absolutely punished for it. It didn't used to be like that. So, you know, we can just take our time as leisurely as we like. Moving on to this stage, we have the turtle stage, the infamous, or the famous, I guess, turtle stage to get our cooldowns. But we're looking pretty good right now. We're not going to have to stall for much longer. Let's just move on now, because we are going to have to stall on stage 3 a little bit, so there really isn't much of a reason for us to just stay here. But one of the good reasons as to why this team was so powerful was due to the fact that you literally get... Oh, wow. Okay. Alright, well, I guess we're not doing much stall on stage 3. We found Heracles. That's fantastic. You do not see him that often, and he just runs away. Okay, well, that's awesome. We don't even have to stall at all. Fantastic. Normally, it would be Waratsume who spawns on that stage. He has defense increase for 3 turns. Really hard to get through it, but he doesn't really do anything, so you can just take your time and kill him as leisurely as you like. However, this stage is kind of annoying. So you do see there is resilience, there is paralysis, which is obviously a bit of an annoyance. So what we're going to do here, we're going to switch into Judge, which is going to give us the chain multiplicative buff, the 1.25, and then using the Sanji Judge special, because we are going to have another Sanji Judge for the next turn anyway, so this is going to be good. This is going to give us the ability to remove the paralysis on our crew, as well as give us a 2 times attack and orb boosting effect, and we do not need Ichiji for the last stage, so we can actually go ahead and use his special here, and because we have a full team of Powerhouse, he's going to allow us to do end of turn damage, which will knock out the Aladdin this turn. It allows us to get around that resilience buff. We will save the rest of the specials for the next stage, and hopefully let's get the dub against Aladdin and Praline. Okay, it looked a little sketchy at first, but we got there in the end. That's awesome. They do have an end of, or like a death animation where they change slots into block. A little bit annoying, but it's not the end of the world, obviously. We will have a way around that. So let's see what variation of Jinbei we get this time around. So the variation that we don't want to see is attack down, because we don't have... Well, Powerhouse don't have many good ways to remove lots of attack down, unfortunately. So let's see what he gives us here today. He turned into a Psy unit, of course, and he gives us the attack down. Okay, this is the variation I didn't want to see. I'm pretty sure we just straight up lose now. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and switch into Sanji, which generates us that slot. We'll go ahead and use the special ability, which gives us, once again, the 2x attack and orb boosting effect. Another thing that would have been... Oh, we do have the effect to get the full board of slots here due to the Niji special, because he has the effect. If one of our slots in the captains are tandem, he changes all slots into tandem. Then we have the Yonji special, which does remove some of the attack down. So I guess, looking back at it, we could probably switch Ichiji around. I think we can stall another turn. So if we do lose this, we're going to run it back, and I think we actually can get the dub. I think we'll be able to do it. And then we have the Moria, of course, and Moria is going to enable us to just get a chain lock. Moria also has a really cool crewmate ability to make int slots beneficial, so he does actually replace Reiju pretty well on this team. So we get a chain lock, but obviously we are still inflicted with pretty heavy attack down. So we'll see how things go. If we don't win, we'll run it back. We'll run it back. Here we go. Oh, what? It was so close! It was so close! Oh, you're kidding! Oh my god. Dude, if we literally had like a support on Moria, this would have killed. Alright, we're going to run it back though, and we're going to definitely get the dub this time. Alright, so we've made it back, and what I've done is I gave Moria cotton candy, and I also attached a support to him just to ensure that he is going to hit a little bit harder if we are inflicted with that same debuff. So let's see what Jinbei is going to apply for this second time. Whatever it is, we should be able to deal with it no matter what. So let's see what he is going to do. He does inflict the attack down again, so this is a really good test. This is exactly what I wanted it to be. So we essentially have the exact same debuff, so let's go ahead and run it back. So let's go ahead and switch once again. Sanji Judge, use their special ability to get the 2x attack, the 2x orb boost. We'll go ahead and use the Niji special to give us the full board of matching slots. Then we'll use the Yonji to give us the color affinity boost. And then Moria will give us a chain lock to deal with chain reduction and stuff, but also the fact that the chain lock is going to be very, very useful to just give us more damage. And hopefully this time we can get the dub. Alright, let's run it, let's run it. Oh no. Alright, we did. Whew! I hit that great in the middle of the chain and I thought it was over, but no, we had enough damage this time. So yeah, the little bit of extra damage from plus 100 attack cotton candy and a generic level 99 support, so it wasn't anything too crazy. It could have been a support that you could actually use back in the day, and we got it done. So that's awesome. We had enough damage. So that's going to wrap us up here today. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Looking forward into next week's episode. We're going to be covering once again more powerhouse focused buffs with the release of Legend Cracker, which as many know was a really powerful release at the time, as you know, Powerhouse, they needed a little bit of loving, and Cracker definitely gave them some really good love and support. But it wasn't only just really good buffs for Powerhouse, it was also a really nice buff for Slashes, and Slashes do receive some really nice buffs moving forward as well. So we're getting a bit of Powerhouse and a bit of Slashes buff moving forward. So that is going to wrap it up from me. Thank you so much for watching the video, and if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.